welcome back to our little invitation videos. And I wanted to talk today about another idea. And we spoke about how having an addiction especially hurts other people. So sometimes when something we're doing hurts another person, we will stop. And when it hurts just us, maybe we won't have the strength to stop. But I think all of us, every normal person, when we are aware that something we're doing is hurting another person, I think it gives us more strength to stop it. Okay, so the opposite is also true. Okay, and that's what I wanted to talk about in this little video. The opposite is also true. And what I mean by that is if we can admit that we have a bad habit or even an addiction. And by the way, I think you're getting the feeling that I'm getting, that maybe the line between my bad habits, my not so bad habits, and my addictions, maybe that line is a shifty line, you know. Maybe bad habits cross over into addictions sometimes. And then maybe addictions get downgraded sometimes into bad habits, and then they flare back up into an addiction. So I think that line between a bad habit and an addiction, it kind of moves back and forth. They're both bad because a bad habit kind of makes fertile ground for an addiction. And then obviously addictions, once you have a full-blown addiction, it messes with your mind, and you can have a lot of bad habits come out of that. Now, but what I wanted to focus on today is a little more positive. If we can identify and admit and be honest with ourselves that we have an addiction or a bad habit, the cool thing is, if we can find a new method, which is what we're offering at DCI Global, if we can find a new method to stop our bad habits or to stop our addictions, that has an immediate good effect on other people. You know, something great happens to the people around us. You know, suddenly we're able to really help the people around us. A person who has had an addiction or a person who has had bad habits and who's even just fighting with those is already helping the people around them. And those people know it, and they respond to you, and it's a great feeling. Okay, so the first picture I'm going to show you here, I was trying to find a picture of a bad habit or an addiction using up mind space. Okay, it takes up mind space. You know, it doesn't matter what's the addiction: alcohol, internet, food. It uses up mental space. You know, you got to think about how to get it. You got to think about where to go to get it. You got to think about how to deal with the fallout, how to hide it from your family, or you know, what to do when you don't feel well because you ate too much, and like that. It's a tremendous drain on your brain space when you have an addiction. Okay, it cuts down, like alcohol literally destroys brain cells, right? They measured it recently that an alcohol addiction results in the brain shrinking, and sometimes that damage is permanent. But we can all agree that just having an addiction or having a bad habit, it takes a lot of mental space up. And what I want you to try to imagine is you had an addiction for a long time, and you were coping. You know, you didn't get fired yet, You got in some trouble with the police because you were drinking and driving. You had trouble. It didn't, get you fired or didn't get you a divorce yet. And that's sucking up your mind time. What happens if you get that mind space back? And by the way, addictions can go on for many years. Addictions and bad habits have a bad habit. Addictions and bad habits have a bad habit that they tend to perpetuate themselves, okay? And suddenly 5 years has gone by, or suddenly 10 years has gone by, and this addiction has been stealing mind space, or this bad habit of, too much clutter on your desk, has been stealing mind space for years. And these addictions and these bad habits tend to go on for years and years. And I've lived a long life. I have seen how addictions can steal your time and steal your life for a long, long time. And so what I wanted you to consider right now, and I'll show you in the next picture here, and it's a personal experience. My friends, my colleagues call me Grandpa, because supposedly I'm the older statesman. I have more wisdom now, supposed to be, sometimes not. But I'll say this. It's my experience that if you fight with your bad habits, and if someone can offer you a really effective, powerful, happy method to fight with your addictions and your bad habits, and you get that mind space back, suddenly you go into this creative mode. And I'll tell you, it's very similar to, I've worked for many years in large corporations. We built the largest diamond jewelry company in the world. It was bought by Warren Buffett. So I have worked in huge companies, and I've seen people, I've watched people for many, many years. And if they can stop an addiction, and if they can get their mind space back, they are like a woman who's just got pregnant, okay? And I know it's a weird example, but many years in corporate life in New York, I would come up to a woman who was working for me, and I'd say, "You're pregnant." And she'd say, "No, I'm not." And I'd say, "No, you're pregnant, I can tell." And it was funny. I'd had some funny conversations with my colleagues. I'd say, "You're pregnant." And she'd say, "No, I'm not." And I'd say, "You are, I can see it. You're glowing, and your creativity just stepped up. Your hormones are on a new track, I can tell." And I have these funny, they would come to me sheepishly, a little, embarrassed. Like 2 weeks later, they'd come back to me and say, "You were right. I don't know." They call me Mr. Roach, right? "Mr. Roach, I don't know how you knew, but yeah, I am pregnant. I just found out." And I'd say, "I can tell, because your level of creativity, something's happening to your hormones. You just went to another level, And it happens when you get rid of your bad habits, and when you clean up your addictions. You get mind space back. And you're just like those ladies with the raging hormones from having it, getting pregnant. And even the husband's hormones change also. So what's going to happen is your creativity is going to go out the window. And it's so fun. You trade an addiction. You trade a bad habit for a whole new level of creativity that maybe you've never experienced in your whole life. And it's so wonderful. That feeling is, God, there's nothing like it, okay? Addictions make you feel guilty. Addictions make you feel dirty. Addictions make you tired. And then suddenly, if you can trade that for excitement and higher creativity. And here you see people working together on a project. That's so fun to trade those boring, dry, uninspiring addictions for a higher level of creativity. That's a cool trade, right? All right, next picture here, you guys. You can see in this next picture the guy with the chains, and he's free of his chains. There you go. All right, and what I want to emphasize is the method that we are going to share with you is really, really cool, and you never heard of it, okay? Nobody you know ever taught it. I didn't learn it at Princeton. You know, you're not gonna learn it in any normal space. This is deep, deep, ancient wisdom. Oftentimes from 2,000 or more years ago, and it's a very fantastic and fun way to break out of your addictions and to break out of your bad habits. I can't emphasize how much it feels so good to stop an addiction, okay? It's been embarrassing, it's been draining, it's been stealing your time like a vampire, sucking your energy, and suddenly you get your life back, and you just feel so good, and this method works. This method really works, and I've used it, and I've gotten parts of my life back, and you guys can too. All right. Next picture here. There's something very, very important I want to say about this DCI level, this DCI global level. Yes, it's true that you will get your time back, but there's an added benefit, okay? There's a free, free bonus at the end of this process, and I'll tell you what it is. You think people don't know your addictions. You think other people don't know your bad habits. In many cases, they do, okay? Sometimes they know before you know, okay? And they've been watching you struggle with this addiction. People are polite. In my society, I don't know about yours, it's not polite to talk to people about their addictions. But people know, people see signs. When you have an addiction, trying to get the thing you're addicted to takes effort, and those efforts are seen by other people, okay? Now, you became what we can say a negative example for other people. And I don't know, they go home and they say, I'm so glad I don't have that addiction that Michael has. You know, poor guy. And now, when you use this new method and you overcome your addiction or you overcome your bad habit, what's going to happen to all those people who've been watching you have an addiction? They're going to go home and say something different. They're going to say, wow, Michael used to have that addiction, and it was kind of sad, you know. And now he's broken it. Somehow he's done it. He did it, you know. He got out of that addiction, and he looks so energized, and he's so focused, and he's so calm, and his finances are coming back, and wow, what's he doing? And by the way, that's the best kind of teacher you can be. And that kind of teacher means if you beat your addictions and you clean up your bad habits, if I ever clean up my desk, or if I ever get that bad habit stopped, I know my wife is going to come to me and say, God, honey, you did it, you know? You finally stopped that. You're not leaving your clothes around on the floor anymore. You kind of clean the sink after you shave, and your work desk is neat and clean, and you can find things. What happened, honey? What have you been doing, you know? And then you can be proud. You can say, honey bunny, I know this ancient method. I learned this ancient method of how to stop my old addictions and my bad habits. And I tried it, and it worked. And then the real bonus from stopping your addictions is that other people will automatically come to you and say, can you help me stop my addiction? Okay? So this is a way of freedom that sets other people free. You see? When you set yourself free from an addiction or a bad habit, it automatically inspires other people to set themselves free, and they will come to you for help. And I'm not saying you stick your nose into other people's business and, oh, hey, you have an addiction. I use this DCI thing. You should follow me. I'm not saying that. That's not the real kind of sweet following. I'm talking about you had an addiction for a long time. Other people saw you had the addiction. You got rid of your addiction or your bad habit, and then you're such an inspiration to other people. There's nobody more sweet than a person who has overcome an addiction. I know alcoholics who suffered for many years, and then they beat it. And it's so nice to be around them. It's so nice to hang out with them. They are gentle. They have suffered. They have suffered from their addictions, and they beat the addiction. And they're sweet people. They're really sweet people. And then they attract people. You know, people come to them and they help other people just by their example. And then if this method works for you, and if you try it, it will. The sweetest thing is you can, after you get rid of your bad habits and your addictions, you can help other people. Okay, next picture here. I was trying to think of an example. This is a young father, and he's making a paper airplane, and he's teaching his son how to make a paper airplane. And to me, what this photograph means to me is that you can share what you know with other people. You become a living advertisement of being clean from that kind of addiction. I think, there's an ancient poem by somebody named Nagarjuna, and he said, the sun is a beautiful, brilliant thing, but we appreciate it more after a rainstorm. When the sun comes back after dark clouds and a bad rainstorm, when the sun comes out, we love the sun more. And it's not that the sun changed. It's that the darkness was covering the sun, and then the darkness went away. And Nagarjuna said, people who had an addiction and then they got over an addiction, they are like the sun that comes out from behind the clouds, okay? And they're more brilliant and more appreciated by other people than anybody, okay? You become a living example for other people in the way this father is an example for his son. Okay, last picture here. It's the idea of breaking away from chains. Our habits, our bad habits, our addictions, they are holding us down. They are limiting us. We're not reaching our full potential. Especially we're not as happy as we could be, And this method in DCI level 6, DCI global level 6, about stopping our addictions and stopping this downward cycle, this method really does work, okay? And I and many other people have used it ourselves. And we all have addictions. We all have bad habits. I still am working on some addictions. I'm still working on some bad habits. But I think you can even sense in the video, I'm extremely happy. And I have a lot of energy. And I do cool things all day long because I have won some battles against my addictions. And you can do the same. You really can do the same. And it's a wonderful path. And it's a wonderful result from admitting we have an addiction, recognizing it, and then using this amazing ancient method to stop it and get our life back, okay? All right, so I hope you enjoyed these little videos, and I hope to see you in DCI Level 6, and especially at the free invitation event. Okay, see you then.